The last thing my father ever said to me was, "If you walk out that door tonight, don't ever come back." I was 21 years old, and honestly, leaving was the first good decision I ever made. Growing up in the Mercer household felt like living inside a prison where everyone pretended the bars were normal. My father controlled everything: money, rules, conversations, emotions. The entire house revolved around his moods. If Dad had a bad day at work, everybody suffered. If dinner wasn't perfect, he exploded. If someone disagreed with him, yelling turned into broken plates frighteningly fast. But according to my mother, that was simply how he expressed stress. She defended him constantly. When he insulted us, she called it discipline. When he screamed, she said we were overreacting. When he punched walls during arguments, she begged us not to upset him further. Eventually, even reality itself started feeling confusing. My older brother, Ryan, adapted by becoming exactly like Dad. Loud, cruel, aggressive. He learned early that bullying me earned our father's approval. So that became his favorite hobby. Ryan mocked everything about me. The way I dressed, the music I liked, even how quietly I spoke. Dad joined in constantly. "You need to toughen up. Why are you so sensitive? No son of mine is going to act weak." Meanwhile, I disappeared into art. Drawing became my escape. Then graphic design. Then digital illustration. Creating things was the only time I felt like I could breathe. Dad hated it immediately. "You're wasting your life drawing cartoons," he'd sneer. But despite everything, I got accepted into one of the best design programs in the state at 21. I remember coming home excited, holding my acceptance letter. Dad barely glanced at it. "You got into college to draw pictures?" Ryan burst out laughing. Mom stayed silent at the kitchen table. That silence hurt more than their insults sometimes. Still, I left for school anyway. And for the first time in my life, I experienced peace. No screaming, no insults, no constant fear of saying the wrong thing. I worked exhausting hours to survive. 2 part-time jobs, scholarships, student loans. Some nights I slept only 3 hours, but I was happy. Then my grandmother died during my final semester. Grandma Evelyn was the only person in my family who treated me gently. She used to secretly encourage my artwork when nobody else did. "You don't have to become who they want you to be," she once whispered to me when I was 16. I almost didn't attend the funeral. Something deep inside me warned not to go home. I ignored it. Big mistake. The second I walked into my parents' house, the tension started. Dad criticized my appearance before even saying hello. Ryan smirked and asked if the starving artist finally found a real job yet. I stayed quiet. I just wanted to survive the weekend and leave. But after the funeral dinner, everything exploded. Dad got drunk, very drunk. At first, it started with passive-aggressive comments. "So, how much debt are you in now? Must be nice avoiding real responsibility." I ignored him. Then Ryan joined in. He joked that I probably attended the funeral hoping Grandma left me money. Something inside me cracked hearing that. "She loved me more than either of you ever did." I snapped before thinking. The room instantly went silent. Dad's expression darkened immediately. "What did you say?" I should have stopped there. Instead, years of pain finally came pouring out. I said she was the only person in this family who actually cared about me. Mom whispered my name nervously, but it was too late. Dad stood up so violently his chair slammed backward onto the floor. "You ungrateful little bastard." Ryan stood too. Suddenly both of them were shouting over me, while relatives stared down at their plates pretending not to hear. That part still disgusts me most. Nobody said a word. Not one person. Dad pointed directly at the front door. You think you're too good for this family now? No, I answered quietly. I just needed distance from people who enjoy hurting me. That sentence pushed him over the edge. If you walk out that door tonight, he shouted, don't ever come back. The room became completely silent. I looked toward my mother desperately. Just once, I wanted her to defend me, to stop him, to choose me. Instead, she lowered her eyes toward the table, just like always. And suddenly, something inside me finally died. Not dramatically, not angrily, quietly, like a final thread snapping after years of pressure. So I stood up slowly, grabbed my jacket, walked to the door, and left. Nobody followed me. Not Dad, not Ryan, not even Mom. I drove back to campus that night shaking so hard I had to pull over twice. Then slowly, I disappeared from their lives completely. I changed my phone number, moved cities after graduation, built a successful career in graphic design. 7 years passed, 7 peaceful years without screaming, manipulation, or fear. Honestly, after a while, it almost felt like they'd never existed. Until one Thursday night at exactly 2:14 a.m., my phone suddenly exploded with notifications. Unknown number, voicemail after voicemail after voicemail. At first, I thought it was spam. Then I listened to the first message and instantly froze because it was my mother crying so hard she could barely breathe. Please answer, please. By sunrise, there were 43 voicemails waiting on my phone. And with every new message, her panic became more terrifying. At first, I didn't listen to all the voicemails. I couldn't. Hearing my mother's voice again after 7 years felt like ripping open something that never fully healed. But around 4 a.m., curiosity finally won. So I pressed play on the newest message and immediately felt cold. Mom sounded terrified. Please call me back. Your father is gone. Gone. At first, I assumed she meant he left after another argument. Then the next voicemail played. He took Ryan with him. They've both been missing since yesterday morning. My stomach tightened instantly. Over the next hour, I listened to message after message while rain hit my apartment windows outside. With every voicemail, my mother sounded worse. More frantic, more exhausted, more broken. Apparently, Dad had become unstable after losing his business months earlier. According to Mom, he'd spiraled into paranoia and rage. Ryan stayed loyal to him through all of it. Then suddenly, both of them disappeared together. No calls, no bank activity, nothing. By voicemail 32, Mom was barely coherent from crying. I don't know who else to call. That sentence hit me harder than I expected, because 7 years earlier, she chose silence while I walked out of that house alone. And now she was alone too. The final voicemail arrived just before sunrise. This time her voice was almost whispering. There's something I never told you about your father. I sat up immediately. Then she said the sentence that made my blood run cold. The police think he may have taken Ryan somewhere to hurt him, the same way he once tried to hurt you. I stopped breathing because suddenly every memory from my childhood felt different. 2 days later, police found Dad and Ryan at an abandoned cabin near the state border. Ryan was alive. Dad wasn't. The official report called it suicide after a violent mental breakdown. At the funeral, nobody spoke much. Not because they were grieving, because deep down, everyone knew the truth about the kind of man he really was. Before I left town again, Mom stopped me outside the cemetery with tears in her eyes. I should have protected you, she whispered. I looked at her for a long moment before answering quietly, yes, you should have. Then I walked away knowing some apologies arrived far too late to heal anything.